I recently went on a trip to Singapore with my parents to visit some relatives. I honestly think it's been a few years since I last travelled with them. They've retired and are doing a bunch of holidays by themselves, and with my full-time job it's a bit difficult to travel with them even if I wanted to. I really enjoy travelling with my parents because it kind of makes me feel like a little kid again, as weird as that sounds. I don't have a plan of where we're going that day, I kind of just follow along and see what they want to get up to. The day I landed, we went to Geylang where we had a bunch of durians and mangosteens. It's so hard for me to travel here during this time of year when they're in season, so it was such a nice surprise. I have such fond memories of sharing these with my family when we used to come over to Singapore when I was a little kid, so it was just really nice to go and revisit those memories. We visited my grandma's every day during the time we were there, and every morning me and my parents would go to the hawker centre in Whampoa to have breakfast. There was also a bunch of stalls selling plants and produce and just everyday things. I really love going to the hawker centres because every stall generally specialises in one dish. So if you want prawn noodles, you go to the prawn noodle shop. The first morning I got some Yupim Mai Fan, which is basically sliced fish vermicelli in a soup base for breakfast, and also a fried banana for a sweet treat. These are different bananas to what you get in Australia, and I always try to find them when I come back because they are honestly just so gooey and sweet, and I feel like just frying them just sweetens them even more, so they're so delicious. My grandma lives quite a far way away from Whampoa, so we would travel by MRT, which is their rail network. Singapore's public transit system is something that I really appreciate because I feel like it's way more advanced in comparison to what we have in Perth. It was really nice to see my grandma again and just spend some quality time with her, as she's in a quite progressed stage of cancer. So every day we will go and visit her, and if she had the energy to, we will go for a walk in the shopping centre and have lunch with her. I really enjoy the selection of food options in Singapore wherever you go. I feel like there's a lot of thought that has been put into urban planning, especially when compared to Perth. I find that you can generally find what you want to eat as well in Singapore because the food options are so consistent wherever you go. I really love double boiled soups that they do over here because they're so flavorful. I ordered a watercress and pork rib soup, which is a must try if you haven't had it before. I feel like Singapore also prides itself in convenience, so I love that there's just fruit stalls at the ready where I can buy some delicious papaya on the go. We also visited my other grandma to spend some time with her and also get some dinner with her. It makes me feel so warm inside to see her interact with her neighbours every time. So yeah, I stayed a lot with my grandma when I would visit, so I love walking around her complex. We had dinner at a local stall again, which I don't even have the name for, but it's the corner shop to 10 Northridge Road in Singapore. I have tried to search for it on Google, but it doesn't even come up, and I have visited this stall time and time again. They do a delicious fried rice, and you have to order the tom yum if you come here. It is basically stir-fried pea shoots in a garlic sauce. That's where it's at. Their fried chicken with shrimp paste is probably also the best that I've ever had in my entire life. So if you ever make your way to Lavender Station in Singapore, it is a must try. The next morning we went to Whampoa markets again for breakfast, and that day the prawn noodle shop was open. The line was ridiculously long but moving, and the broth was so prawny and delicious. I honestly don't know how they managed to cater for the volume that goes through the stall, but it was not lacking at all, and honestly it was so good. It doesn't look like much, I guess. It is hawker food after all, but honestly it's so delicious, and in Australia you would not get this for the prices that you'll be getting it in Singapore. I had a craving for something sweet, so I headed over to the pancake stall. These are unlike Western pancakes and have a crisp outer shell with a fluffy inside. It's a little chewy as well, but you can get it filled with things like red bean, but my favourite is peanuts. We had a bit of time to kill that morning, so we walked around the shops before taking the train to another shopping centre where we had a second breakfast because why not? We went to Yakun where we ordered the Gaya butter toast set. Gaya is a coconut jam. So the set came with soft-boiled eggs, toast, and also a hot beverage. This is a must try if you come to Singapore. It is so delicious. For lunch we went to King of Prawn Noodles in Hillian Mall, and I got the braised pork bowl, but basically everyone else got the prawn noodles and we didn't rate it in comparison to what we had for breakfast. As my grandma was feeling a bit tired that day, we left a little earlier than we normally would have and went to OG shopping mall. It's basically a department store in Singapore. There was a wedding shop section to the store, which was really great for finding some last minute items for our wedding later this year. There was a lot of stuff for tea ceremonies as well, so if you're interested in looking for some items in Singapore, OG definitely had a really nice selection. Later that day we had dinner with my grandma and my uncle also came along. We started off with dessert for dinner, which was chendol. It is a sweet dessert with pandan flavoured jellies, coconut milk and palm sugar syrup. Sometimes there's like red bean and stuff as well. So delicious. And for dinner I had yong tau fu, which is basically a mix of veggies and tofu filled with a ground fish paste. The next day we headed out to a shopping mall in Choa Chu Kang after visiting my grandma. We took the LRT, which was a first for me, and it was actually super convenient. There was also a stall that sold onde onde, which is a pandan infused rice dough filled with molten palm sugar, which is then rolled in shredded coconut. So delicious. And for lunch I also got another yong tau fu, and I loved how everything was so fresh here. We headed to Ion Orchard after that and walked around. I saw these really cute bags by Beyond the Vines, which were super soft and pillowy. I didn't get any though, but I thought that the colours were super cute. We then also got some buns from the bakery in, I think, the basement level. I think it was called Lavender maybe, but I'm not too sure. And then we headed over to the food court for an afternoon snack. Contrary to what a lot of my cousins have actually said to me about the food here, that it's overpriced and not worth what you're getting, I actually don't mind this food court. I find that it's just very accessible, so I do enjoy it for that factor. I ordered ching tung for an afternoon snack, and it's basically a sweet cold dessert soup with things like lotus seeds, red dates and longans. We spent the rest of the afternoon visiting my grandma and then headed out for some durian again. I also got some fresh coconut water, which was super refreshing in comparison to the heaty durian. Day 4 was my last day in Singapore because I was flying out in the Arvo, so I had my last wander around the Whampoa markets. I love walking around and checking out produce, and I just wish we had the same kind of quality for Asian veggies back home. I mean, just look at that lotus. We then had economical bihun for breakfast. I just find it so funny that that's what it's referred to, but it's literally because it's economic. But it's just so delicious and honestly just hits the spot every single time. My parents were flying out earlier than me, but I figured I could hang out at the Jewel and still have one last lunch with them, so I headed to the airport with them. Of course, we had to go and check out the Jewel Rain Vortex. It honestly is so stunning, and I love coming here and just having a bit of a gander when I do stop by in Singapore. We went to Din Tai Fung for lunch, where we ordered a few things. We got some steamed chicken soup, some kai lan, some fried rice, and of course their famous xiao long bao, which they make by hand in store. Din Tai Fung is a pretty global franchise, so I feel like they have to be consistent, but I've never had a bad experience with them and I would highly recommend going there. I have always really wanted to go to visit the butterfly garden at Changi Airport, and this trip was the time I got to see it. It's located in Terminal 3 and is open 24 hours a day. It is the world's first butterfly garden in an airport, and it was so beautiful. It's quite noisy though, but obviously that's to be expected because of the plane. There were 2 levels to this butterfly garden, so you just have to find a spiral staircase and it'll take you to the lower floor where you can fully see the waterfall. It was so beautiful, very humid. As I said, it's outdoors, so it's all to be expected, but it's honestly so beautiful and so green. I also really enjoyed that they had this little like emergence chamber, which I thought was really cute. I don't know if cute's the right word, but basically all these little cocoons. The waterfall was honestly very stunning. It's obviously man-made, but beautiful nonetheless, and I really feel like they really take care of the butterflies here, so give it a visit. Once my parents had hopped onto their plane, I took the SkyTrain back to Terminal 1, where I had a little bit of a gander and checked out the shops there. found this cute little grand wedding tea mix at TWG and bought a tin for Mike and I to enjoy back home. I really liked all the cute canisters they had and all the different colours. It was honestly so cute, and I love the quality of the TWG teas. I hope you enjoyed my little vlog about my trip to Singapore. I feel like trips to visit family are always a lot more different to holidays and when you're racing off to see things. I really feel like this trip filled my cup in many more ways than I expected it to, and I can't wait to travel with my parents again.